Mr. Moore's concern was for the dark sky nights that they have out there in the Great Basin, and he was concerned about that.
And it makes sense.
Okay. Chris?
Yeah, we did receive a letter from Baker Ranches for approval for putting the tower on their property.
May we have that record sent to the commission and the clerk for
Absolutely.
file, please?
Absolutely.
Mr. Chairman, I can add one thing.
Yes.
In the course of the Baker Citizens Advisory Board meeting where Tom presented this, there was no voiced opposition in those meetings, and had I anticipated, thought better, I would have brought those minutes, but I think that the approval, I recall that they have approved that site, and that would be reflected in their minutes.
Okay, thank you. I just wanted on record, Chris, I just wanted on record with the clerk's office and with our office that has been approved by the Bakers, because that is their property.
Yes, absolutely.
Right, I saw the letter.
It is part of the application too also. So.
Well, that's fine. Just make
It's in
sure
the
that we
packet.
have backup in 2 years or something that we have to go look for. Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you.
You
Okay,
want
Did you want to add?
any other questions or add to that?
I think
Yes,
so.
ma'am. I'm sorry.
Chairman Lampos and Commissioners, I'm Lynn Hoffman, the chairperson of Baker Area Citizens Advisory Board. So I just wanted to reconfirm that yes, Tom Baker and I both sent letters to Chris Flannery as we were working on the application for this approval. So as the chairman of BOCAB, I've been the primary point of contact with ComNet during all of the planning process to place the cell phone tower in Snake Valley. We've been working with ComNet since our introduction through Connect Nevada in last October, November. The topic of the cell phone tower installation in Snake Valley has been of vital importance for our group in all of our meetings with BOCAB prior to that introduction and also since that time. Note that the meetings of BOCAB are open to the public. The facts about the progress of the cell tower planning have been posted around Baker in the agendas for the BOCAB meetings and have been discussed informally at many community meetings, gatherings. I personally have not heard anyone object to the installation of the cell tower in any of those conversations. Everyone I've spoken to is really happy that Snake Valley is going to enter the 21st century. In mid-July, the temporary cell tower was brought into service. It's affectionately known as a COW, or a cell tower on wheels. With a tower only 65 feet tall and a satellite link to the network, it's not an optimal installation, but even so, we've been very pleased to have it available. We've also had to chuckle about the visitors to the park who probably don't know how lucky they are to find cell service in the valley. The residents of Baker and surrounding areas in Snake Valley are eagerly looking forward to the completion of the permanent cell tower to be installed by ComNet. With the greater height and more reliable connections to the network, we look forward to much improved service and better coverage throughout the valley. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, any other question? Yes, Mr. Chachas. He allows you to speak first.
Oh, I just wanted to say that I just traveled from Delta through Baker coming back to Ely. No cell service, so
That's
anything out there would be a great improvement.
That's a long ways when you're out of communication. Mr. Chachas.
I would like to speak in favor of the project, but I want to know what carriers you're going to have on that tower. The reason I ask you that is the city of Ely just recently gave permission for a 190-foot tower up on the hillside here, and they only went up 48 feet. I have customers in McGill that can't move from one room to the next without losing cell service. There was another company that had a tower installed in Lund, and yet those people are paying monthly fees and they have no service. If you put the tower in the Baker area, what services are going to be available to those people out there?
ComNet has its own service to start with. It's called Choice. It's like any other company, you can buy it, or any other cell company, you can buy it or not buy it. But our antennas are set up our panel antennas are set up to handle all the players: Verizon, AT&T, T-Mobile, whoever. The area coverage is dependent upon what's in front of it. If you put if you're far enough away from the tower and you get behind a hill, you're not going to have coverage. Just that simple. The tower's got to be able to see you to work. On the coverage map here, it gives the proposed coverage of what we think is going to happen in that area. Until we turn it on, we do not know exactly for sure. There can be some areas that you're behind a hill and you'll get perfect coverage. It's just how it works.
Will you get coverage
Don't ask
with-
me out, because I don't know. I just lease the land.
Okay. Will the person that on Verizon get Verizon service?
You'll get Verizon, AT&T, T-Mobile. all
That's
the places.
available now.
It is.
Once
somewhat.
you install it, excuse me.
Yeah, once we install it.
Okay. And are you going to install those services at the time that the tower is completed?
Correct. The equipment that we put up handles all cell companies.
Okay, I understand the installation of the equipment, but I don't know at what time do they energize and the people that are on Verizon have access to Verizon. Those on AT&T have access to AT&T. Verizon was roaming off of AT&T towers out there, and 2 months ago, those people got cut off. There's a lot of people out there with cell phones that do not have any service.
I can tell you, to the best of my knowledge, that once we install it, and once we test it, and turn the system on, that it will handle all customers all times. Now, am I the end of all end when I say something? No, there's people above me. But the sites that we have built before, in this area and other rural areas, have that capability at all times.
Okay.
That's all I can tell you. I mean,
Ms. McKenzie?
I was out of Baker last weekend. We had a tour out there, and we were out in the fields all over the place, and Gary had his phone going most of the time we were out there. He had service in a lot of different areas. I do want to let George know the difference between this tower and the one in Lund. The one in Lund is for one specific thing, and until people rent space on it, we aren't going to have cell service. This one is for cell service specifically. There's a difference there.
Thank you. Russell?
And that was covered my question, because I was just wondering if they had the Verizon or AT&T had to buy an antenna and install it there. I mean, they're capable of, with their array when they build the tower, do they have to buy an antenna, put it on there, and then their service or their customers then have that capability in that area?
Can you answer that?
I can state that the reason Verizon, AT&T, and what's called the big boys don't come in this area because there's not a whole lot of traffic. So what we do is we take everything, we take all the users, bundle them under ours. If Baker ever gets big enough, or for some reason has a lot of people there, Verizon will come to us and ask to lease space on our tower for their customers, and we'll grant it to them. They will do it to AT&T, T-Mobile, anybody. But right now, we handle everybody.
Could I say that a little bit differently? To my understanding, ComNet maintains contracts with all the big boys.
Correct.
And with international telecoms also.
Correct.
So that even visitors from Europe have been finding cell service in Baker already, even with the cow. It's got nothing to do with different antennas. ComNet puts in two different technologies, CDMA and what's the other one, MSN?
And GSM.
GSM. And so those capabilities are there for all of the carriers.
Correct.
We've seen a lot of that with the cow, not quite as much as we might, but we're looking forward to the permanent tower to really do it right for everybody.
Since you're standing up, I have a question. What day do you meet? I mean the Baker City Council.
We'll be meeting tomorrow, September 26th.
You meet every
Third Thursday.
third Thursday?
We broke for the summer, and then we
Well, what we're
usually go
trying
with
to do,
first
I
Thursday.
did make a statement several months ago about traveling county commission, and that's why I wanted to know, because we'd like to start with Baker first.
Okay. Sounds wonderful. Love to have you out there. I'm going to, off the top of my
If
head
there's
right
some
now,
cookies and coffee, I'll really be happy.
we might arrange that too. How about first Thursday in November? I bet you that's
That'll
all
be
right.
fine, just so we know what's convenient for you. And since you're here, you'll be receiving a letter, because I postponed it because everybody's schedules were so screwed up that I thought I'll just wait till we got some people free here so we can go.
Okay,
Okay?
thank you.
Good, thank you. So make note that on November 7th, we'll be visiting Baker. Okay, any other public comment concerning the tower? If none, we'll close public, I'll move to close public comment. I'll entertain a motion to close public comment.
I'll make a motion to close public comment on the tower. And I'll second that.
Question, all in favor? Aye, opposed? Okay. Second item, discussion action, possible approval of special use permit application submitted by ComNet of Nevada LLC for a 180-foot tower located at Baker Ranch, Baker, Nevada. Mr. Flannery.
Good morning, Commission, Mr. Chairman. I do have all the applications, letters, a complete file. Sometimes I don't know how.
You didn't hear the vote?
I didn't hear your vote on that.
Oh, I voted aye. Jeez, thank you. My voice got soft. Okay, okay. I'm sorry.
I do have all kinds of information. I did write up a summary review and findings of fact for you to help you make your decision. And if you have any questions, I'm free to answer those for you.
Anybody have any questions? None?
Motion.
Okay, I have motion. Go ahead.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we approve the special use permit application submitted by ComNet of Nevada LLC for a 180-foot tower located at Baker Ranch and Baker, Nevada. And I'll second that.
I have a motion the second. Question. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Get that cow out of the way. All right. Thank you. Let's take about a 10-minute break here before our next item.
I saw that. Yeah, that's
So my coffee cup. No, I won't ruin my hat.
Our 10 a.m. item, discussion action, possible approval of letter of endorsement and support to Nevada Association of Counties for analysis of wild horse and economic impacts on grazing and wildlife-related recreation in White Pine County, Lincoln County. Connie Simpkins and Gratian Uvalde. Gratian, didn't they NACO do this one time before? Didn't they have one, Connie?
Yes,
And what do we do? Just freshening this up or something?
the 17 counties voted unanimously to move forward with the lawsuit, and they've been waiting for the attorney to get the information together, and that's part of the reason we're asking you to support these.
Okay. All right, sir.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. Yes, but in the meantime, while the attorneys were being very busy with other things,
Those attorneys.
yeah. Anyway, the Ed Ford Grazing Board, Connie, through the Kendall Foundation, did an in-depth study of resource concepts, and I'm lucky enough to have J.J. Goodchia, board member of the County Commission Chairman.
Well, let's introduce Mr. Goverchie, standing right back there. How are you?
I'm well.
So anyway, while we're soliciting support, Connie will start out by telling you about what the foundation study found as how it affects ranchers and the local economies, and then JJ will go into the new suit.
Good, perfect.
Thank you.
Morning.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, gentlemen. We have long been involved in the public lands issues in Lincoln and White Pine County. I've worked for the ranchers since 1976 in this capacity. So wild horses are something that I'm very familiar with, both in my personal life and my professional life. So when it came time to help NACO move forward with the lawsuit, we decided that it was the grazing board. We knew the grazing board didn't have any money, so we applied to the Kendall Foundation, a private entity that funded paying for gathering this information together. And there's two papers that you have in your packet. One of them concerns the economic effects on livestock grazing, and the other one concerns the economic effects on wildlife and wildlife-based recreation. I know you have them in front of you, and I'm sure you've read them, but I'll just go through them really quickly. The BLM is obligated to manage the wildlife habitat to balance with multiple use. These activities of fishing, hunting, and wildlife watching enrich the lifestyle of your county residents, your visitors, and your out-of-state tourists. These things are very important to both the residents and the non-residents alike. There are 6 herd management areas totaling 3.7 million acres in this 2-county block administered by the EDBLM. And their own herd management estimates indicate that there are 2,799 Mustangs in these 6 herd management areas, and that is 1,207 more horses than there should be there, than the appropriate management level horses. We shorten it to AMLs. You have a map in your packet that will show the overlap of the HMAs and the herd areas. Now, the herd areas were not designated in the 2008 Resource Management Plan put together by the EDBLM. They were all designated as 0 horses. That is not fact on the ground. There are still horses in at least half of the herd areas. And we've also took a look at the Nevada Department of Wildlife Big Game Status Report and the number of cows, or number of tags issued for both bucks and bulls, does and cows. And these numbers were tabulated in the hunt areas for White Pine and Lincoln County. That table will be found on page 5. The number of tags total for deer, antelope, and elk is 2,312. Okay, if we assume that each hunter spends about $3,000 coming to Lincoln and White Pine counties, that puts us up to $25 million in the state of Nevada, not just White Pine and Lincoln, the whole state. We think they average 17 days of hunting, and if each day they spend about $116, this is for the total of Nevada, that's another $12.9 million. So it's big business. And we have some of the better elk and deer hunting in the western United States in these 2 counties. We also have the lost ecological value due to the degraded rangelands, the water sources, and the native vegetation because there are these 1,200 too many horses on the land. In a case study in the Sheldon National Wildlife Refuge, study done in 2012, it says the presence of horses and burros have caused significant adverse impacts to the ecological integrity of the Sheldon Refuge. This could be painted across the state of Nevada because of it. And we are also concerned about the potential lifting of the sage-grouse. In both the Lincoln County Sage-Grouse Conservation Plan and the White Pine County Sage-Grouse Conservation Plan, both of them dated 2004, they list wild horse overpopulation as a high-risk factor in the population management units for sage-grouse. And in the conclusion, the current overpopulation of horses have resulted in both of these counties can no longer be considered as being in a thriving ecological balance. Wildlife is dependent on the quality of its habitat. This imbalance results in negative impacts to local wildlife populations and the hunting experiences. We could say almost exactly the same thing across the board with livestock grazing. I'll just give you a couple of numbers. There were approximately 720,000 AUMs. Now, an AUM is an animal unit month. That's how much forage it takes one cow and one calf to eat for 1 month. Over the past 50 years, there's been a reduction in your economy by 24% because of the reduction in AUMs of livestock grazing in White Pine County. There is a monetary commercial value for these AUMs, and they have been assessed by BLM and university professors at $127 per AUM. There's a study last year by Dr. Tom Harris at University of Nevada Center for Economic Development that every AUM, in an active AUM and a BLM permit in these 2 counties produces an income to the rancher of $84. In turn, this rancher circulates through the economy in the amount of an additional $29.32 per AUM. This is a regional economic activity, further with labor of $6.39 per AUM and one full-time job for every 1,600 AUMs. A lot of numbers. But economic variables, the permit values in the EDBLM district, $24.9 million. The production value, $16.4 million. Regional effects, $5.7 million. Labor earnings, $1.3 million. There are 700 horses located in 29 separate areas in 2007. Though through past studies and agency decisions, these areas have been managed at a level ranging from 1,986 to 2,141. Now that their high AML is 1,695 horses. Again, same as with wildlife, we are 1,207 horses over the high management level. This analysis indicates that there's a loss of $3 million in permit value and $2 million in annual production value for the affected ranchers in these two counties. And this includes an annual amount of $704,000 in reduced ranch expenditures to your economy and 14 jobs. In conclusion, we'll say the BLM has tried to remove these horses, but funding and Congress and wild horse interest groups have kept them from doing their job. Lacking alternate options and in consideration of their continued requirement to manage the land for thriving ecological balance, this is the only thing they can do is remove the cows, and the horses will continue to adversely affect the vegetation out there because they stay there 365. This analysis shows to us the agency action of converting existing permitted livestock grazing to wild horse use has an economic effect on the residents and businesses located here in White Pine and Lincoln counties. These potential economic effects can also reach a point where it adversely affects your county funding levels, the cultural heritage of this area, and the quality of life for the residents. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Is Wild Horse Annie gone?
Yes, her name was Velma Johnson, and she lived in Reno.
She was a customer of mine at First National Bank of Reno.
She's been dead about 30 years.
She was a tough lady.
The law was passed in 1971.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Any questions? Oh, James, I forgot. You're part of the conversation. How are you?
I'm well, Chairman. Thank you.
Welcome to Ely.
Members of the board, I'm not going to take a lot of time. I just want to echo a couple things that Connie said and give you a little update on where the NACO lawsuit is coming. Laurie, you know, and Richard, I'm sure you're aware as well from being involved with NACO. You asked if Mustang Annie was gone, and I just want to say the first thing. I imagine she's rolling over in her grave where this horse management is on today. She never intended for this to be done either, I'm sure. The 17 counties of NACO, the Board of Directors did unanimously approve to go forward with the lawsuit, asking the Bureau of Land Management to, in fact, maintain appropriate management level within the state of Nevada, within the horse management areas, herd management areas, excuse me. That's where we're at today. Council has been retained. They are working on that draft. One thing that kind of slowed it down last month, Nevada Farm Bureau has decided to sign on as a co-plaintiff. So they are now drafting that parallel with NACO, and Nevada Land Action Association, which is the legal arm of the Nevada Cattlemen's Association, is going to file an amicus on behalf of both. So we're working through those final details and figuring that out. What NACO really needs is these examples of harm, and Connie did an excellent job of showing economic harm to our counties. We also have private individuals that have been harmed economically as a result of over AML. She mentioned some numbers, and I think they're greatly underestimated. In the Diamond Complex, which is the western border of your county, they gathered that last winter. They removed 500 horses from White Pine County, which is horse-free in that complex. AML is 237 horses there. They took 500 from the horse-free portion, 800 total on the complex, did another census this fall to see what was left. There's still over 450 horses there, majority in White Pine County, which is horse-free. So we have a major problem here. We definitely are impacting our wildlife habitat. We are seeing, Eureka County has seen a couple of permittees put out of business for the simple fact they've been asked to take non-use safe forage for horses. As a result, with this drought that is ongoing, they've elected to sell out. One lady in particular that bothers me tremendously, she went to her grave not owning a cow for the first time in her adult life, and that is not fair.
Yeah.
JJ, would you briefly talk about Jake Tibbetts, the information when we had the last task force meeting, when Commissioner Giraldi brought that up? I thought that was significant to illustrate.
Commissioner Etheraldi did at the NACO meeting in Eureka, the Public Land Committee meeting, and that was 17th or something of last month, I believe. He did present some information. I think he sent that to you guys, if I'm not mistaken.
You just got it. I had
you just got it.
Yeah,
okay.
It didn't come in the initial.
Okay, we did ask that Commissioner Etheraldi send that. Again, those are a lot of the same numbers that I have shown, and they show that the AUM decreases in Eureka County. I don't have those off the top of my head, Lori. I apologize.
No, that's all right. Just what happened, and then when to gather, and then after the gather.
Sure. Okay.
What Jake Tibbetts was talking about.
Sure, absolutely. And that's kind of what I alluded to. They did together. They took some horses to short-term holding in Carson City with the intent of turning them back out this spring. I got a phone call as a chairman of the board in Eureka County saying we're going to take the horses back out now. We've decided that the forage is ample, that we can sustain additional horses. I asked for the census numbers. We need to have the census numbers. They said they couldn't do a census flight because the fire season had started early and they didn't have a helicopter to fly it. We bristled and pushed back. Thankfully, we got Congressman Amade to step up and help us significantly in our efforts. We did get a census flight done. At that point, they were claiming 78 horses in the entire complex. That is when they found over 450 horses.
Well, out here towards, you're going to Salt Lake, they're in Elko County, after you pass the Loggies, that herd is growing just enormously. I can't believe you're seeing them. They start just a few miles north of the county line, and they're just going all the way past down almost to Dolly Bar.
And Chairman, you hit it right on the head. These horses we're seeing them in more concentrated bunches right now, and in areas where normally we see them in the wintertime. The reason for that is the drought. And if we get a winter that we need, and we need this winter to heal our country up, if we get that winter, we will see significant die-offs of wild horses, and it is not the horse's fault. It is mismanagement. If we had these horses at AML and they were being managed appropriately, they could survive a winter. They've used their high country. They're now in the flats that they have to use in the winter. When the snow comes, there's not going to be anywhere to go. So this is another example of why NACO is pushing forward with this. Mark Pollock is the lawyer. We're moving forward with it. I look forward to having a draft. I'm hoping within the next couple of weeks. I tried to talk to Jeff this morning. He knows I'm getting a little cranky with this, so he doesn't call me back all the time. So, with that, if there's any questions, I'd be happy to answer them. I know you got a short on time. I don't want to stand up here.
No, we're fine.
We do have contributions to NACO from multiple sources. N6 has put in money, N4, N2. These are our grazing boards now. Is going to put in money once they see the draft. Eureka County has put in money. Farm Bureau, Nevada Land Action Association, and the Sportsman's Coalition have put in thousands of dollars. We have, to date, almost 50,000 of the 90 we need already in the bank. So, and this suit, all the way up to, and if needed, an appeal, will be handled for $90,000, not to exceed some. So we did a really good job negotiating that. I see council nodding his head
No,
over
I
here.
was just going to bring up the funding, but JJ went ahead and hit on it. That's exactly what I was going to do.
None.
Thank you for making.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
JJ alluded to the grazing boards. There are 6 grazing boards in the state of Nevada. They're set up under NRS 564.
64, yes.
Okay. And in the N4 grazing board, which covers White Pine and Lincoln counties, there are 10 members elected by the active cowboys, and 7 of those 10 members are operators here in your White Pine County.
Yes, you're welcome.
Mr. Chairman, on behalf of the board, what I would just like you folks to watch, if you didn't mind, is kind of follow along with Eureka, and if you could appropriate some money to join this because they are.
What time of, I'm gonna be very blunt, because we're very concerned, what time, what kind of donation was Eureka's, what amount?
I think it was $10,000.
It was.
Yeah. JJ's running out of our tab. Yes.
Mr. Chairman, I can tell you these two white papers that we prepared cost the private foundation $3,000. The M4 Grazing Board put in $1,000.
Yes, they did.
Mr. Coster?
That, I was gonna ask just that, if we could find out from JJ, or if I could, see what the contributions have been that have gotten you to the halfway, approximately the halfway mark.
I'll give you that rough estimate.
In that.
Commissioner Coster, through the chair. Eureka County, 10,000. Nevada Cattlemen's Association through Nevada Land Action, 10,000. Nevada Farm Bureau, 10,000. In 6 Grazing Board, 10,000. In 6, 1,000. Sportsman Coalition, 5,000. To date, with more to come, I believe. And I'm trying to, there was one other one in there that I'm not. So that brings us about to the 50, if my math is correct. Is that,
Well,
is that close?
we'd have to talk with our finance people right here and see what we could do. We could go ahead, if the commission wishes to approve the letter, and then put it on our next agenda to approve or disapprove an amount if the commission chooses.
We certainly appreciate that. I'm sorry that Jill is still not here. I'm gonna try and find out where BLM's.
They're sitting right in the back.
Oh, you shift over. But I didn't know she had something.
Listening avidly.
I didn't know if, I will come to see you to see where BLM is budget-wise on this, because it is just remarkable to see the government spend a significant amount of money establishing standards and then to not follow essentially their own guidelines in a way that has such direct economic impact.
Unfortunately, BLM's hands are tied about what gets mandated down from PC.
PC
more
doesn't-
That's why I said I'm gonna go get information, Lori.
So, yes, we can set
So,
something up.
thank you, Joe. Okay, great.
And BLM was at that last meeting, and we had a task force.
To be fair to the BLM Commission, their hands are, they're in a tough
I didn't say
situation on the
it
local.
wasn't to be fair to BLM, Lori. I said I want to get their information too, so we could work externally.
Mr. Miller?
I wasn't one way or the
It's
other.
okay.
A statement of fact.
For the record, Bill Miller, I'm speaking as a sportsman from White Pine County, and I ask you to endorse this. And this has been a long problem. The ranchers within White Pine County and elsewhere are great stewards of the land. The easiest tool to use when there is an issue out there with the habitat and the land that's utilized by all is to pull the rancher off. It's easy for him to herd up those cows and pull him off. And it's not fair and it's not right. If Mr. Limich was here, he can recall a time when he phone called me in November. He was going to turn out in Shin Creek. And he went out to get his permit. They wouldn't give it to him because there's over 1,200 horses in that allotment. They were eating themselves out of house and home. There was nothing there for the wildlife. And he had to move from where he was coming from. That's not fair to the rancher. So I ask you to endorse this. I've seen areas where witness horses chasing wildlife off of springs throughout White Pine County more than once. I've seen areas north Spring Valley that are nuked. There's no forage left at all. And these guys can't even turn out their animals, let alone the wildlife that's affected. So I ask of you as a sportsman to support this. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, if I could add one more thing.
Sure.
There's not a person in Bureau of Land Management that's out here on the management level on the ground that doesn't want to see the thing managed as it should be. It's all from the top down. And the trickle effect, they just get shoulder shrugs and blown off.
Gracie, just a little humor before we go for the motion. When I used to go back and forth to Washington, D.C., one night I was asked, how's your wild horse situation? Because for you younger ones, Wild Horse Annie was a very powerful lady in Washington. And I says, oh, it's working good. I says, we train him to pull our stagecoaches. And they all looked at me like, anyway, I'll entertain a motion, please.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we adopt Well, that we approved his letter of endorsement and support to NACO for analysis of lawful economic impact on grazing and wildlife and related recreation in White Pine and Lincoln County, with an amendment that would incorporate a point of contact for the White Pine County government, not simply for the concept of incorporating.
Let that go. Ladies? Okay. I have a motion. Do I hear a second? Question? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you, gentlemen. Lady.
Thank you for your time.
Come visit us again.
Thank you very much.
JJ, say hello to your dad.
I will. You'll probably see before I.
David Miller, under County Commissioners, discussion of the merits of the protest submitted by MPM Construction Incorporated, Gill Senior Citizens front porch bid awarded to Shell Creek Construction on 8/14. I put it under my name, but we have a protest on these.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. At the last meeting, the item was discussed, and then it was kind of, if memory serves, was tabled due to information needed in the packet. Just a little recap on this project itself. The McGill Senior Center front porch was redesigned due to the fact that the beam in front of the roof structure itself not only split in the middle from the bottom to the top, it was also split horizontally across, so it's pretty much in structural failure. The county had gone in, we went and looked at it, the county had gone in and they have supported it up to hold it into place until it can be redone. By doing that, the whole porch needs to also be raised to the level of the floor, to meet the floor and of the existing building due to ADA standards and whatnot. That's kind of just the basic of the project. Right now, we have received 3 bids, and the most responsive bidder at the time of the review was Shell Creek Construction. MGM Construction did send a letter in stating that they did not receive electronically their copy of Addendum 1, which I think was just some basic verbiage in regards to the opening of the bid package at the meeting here. And I think that's kind of where we stand.
Okay, so after investigating this, and I asked you to place this for discussion today, not to delay the project because this is important that we get it done before the weather sets in. We got to do it right too. Okay? So in reviewing the statute, I'm looking at NRS 332068. It talks about notice of protest and lays out what's required for those protests. After reviewing the statute and reviewing the letter sent in by MGM, it's the opinion of the district attorney's office that letter serves as an official protest, and it does have the effect to stay the progress of this project. Okay? With that said, it's now incumbent upon the board to revisit this whole decision and look at the bids again. I will say that I also investigated in this statute, as far as conflicts are concerned, requirements regarding disclosure is not it's not the best written statute, okay? And after reviewing it, I think that given Mr. Calderwood's third degree of affinity, when we review these 2 bids in the future, we're going to have to do it at the next county commission meeting, okay? That he should probably stay and someone else should take his place, along with basically